The forces of cultural repression have been taking it on the chin a lot lately. TV preachers in disgrace, Washington wives in decline. Nobody could be happier about all this than Frank Zappa. For more than 20 years now, Frank Zappa has been battling censorious prudes and pompous hypocrites wherever he finds them. Lately, he's found them among the ranks of sex-crazed evangelists and would-be rock record raiders like Tipper Gore of the PMRC. It's a never-ending fight, but Frank says he's beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel.
And people occasionally ask me, well, who's winning? And I always say, well, we are. You know, look at them. They're pathetic.
Zappa was an early opponent of the PMRC, the self-styled Parents Music Resource Center, which nowadays seems to consist mainly of Tipper Gore. Tipper's record-raiding crusade has fizzled. She's become an embarrassment to her husband Albert's presidential campaign, and now Zappa is having the last laugh.
Now, would I do that? And anybody who goes around wanting to stick a big O on something because it mentions the devil in it, that person's got a mental health problem. And they share that mental health problem with people like Jim and Tammy and Jimmy Swaggart. You know, he's coming in there. Everything the man says or has said, you have to see that you have to subtract that mentality of the pornography addict.
At age 47, Zappa is as irreverent as ever, and his current Broadway the Hard Way tour, which winds up this weekend before shipping off to Europe, has been drawing a whole new generation of fans eager to hear his racy repertoire, his extended guitar solos, and his anti-authoritarian message. These kids don't need to be protected from suggestive lyrics and salacious videos, Frank says, and there's no reason they should be.
There's that Michael Jackson one where he stands there and goes, and then watch, and does this. Give me a break. Michael, give me a break.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Showbiz Today. There's a new Paul McCartney recording in the stores today, pulled from his January acoustic performance on MTV. It's called Unplugged, the official bootleg. And as Mark Shearer reports, it's one of the latest counterattacks in the stepped-up war against the explosion of black market compact discs.
The latest target of bootleggers, U2. Rehearsal tapes of the band at work on their upcoming album disappeared, then turned up for sale in Germany and France. Their label, Island Records, alerted retailers and threatened legal action against anyone infringing on the band's copyrights. Bootlegging involves copies of unreleased recordings, unlike record piracy, which is the illegal duplication of commercially available recordings.
Basically, there are two types of bootlegs. One is the live concert recordings, and the other are outtakes or alternate takes, things left over from studio sessions that never made it onto albums.
Last year, law enforcement officials working with the Recording Industry Association of America seized about 150,000 bootleg CDs in the U.S. That marked a 400% increase over the year before.
The bootlegger puts out a product that would have an artist's name on it, and with no regard for whatever the quality of the product is, and the person who buys it gets screwed, unless they just happen to like bad recordings.
For serious music fans, bootlegs offer an opportunity to collect rare and unreleased recordings of their favorite artists, and many of those artists find that flattering.
I think that's the greatest compliment imaginable when they actually bootleg your stuff.
They're not going to like me for this in the business, but for me as a songwriter, I want people to hear my songs, and I don't care how they hear them, as long as they hear them.
Some groups, like the Grateful Dead, actually encourage bootlegging by openly allowing their concerts to be taped. But most artists feel ripped off.
Being done out of something that you would rightfully be entitled to as far as monetarily and things like that.
I find it abhorrent, I mean, because it's going to kill the industry in the end. And I mean, obviously it affects the big artists because it takes their royalties away. But indirectly, that will affect the up-and-coming artists, because if it's taking money away from the industry, that is money. I mean, the big artists do fund the newcomers.
Even Bruce Springsteen, who began a 1978 concert by saying, "Bootleggers, roll your tapes," has since changed his tune.
Springsteen had taken a very strong position against bootlegging. His management people frequently testify at most of the major bootlegging cases.
And some artists have begun fighting fire with fire. Paul McCartney, anticipating the bootlegging of his appearance on MTV's Unplugged, put out his own authorized version. Bob Dylan recently authorized the release of dozens of his rare and unreleased tracks. And Frank Zappa is striking back with something he calls Beat the Boots.
We've taken exactly their cover, exactly their bad recordings, and repackaged them, and we're selling them cheaper.
So while record industry and law enforcement officials crack down, and some musicians try to undermine the bootleg market with their own releases, others nervously eye the near future when consumers will be able to buy CDs that both erase and re-record and multiply the problem. Mark Shearer, CNN Entertainment News, New York.